Welcome back. This is Judge Jim Gray, and our show is, as I hope you know by now, Becoming America. America is a perfect idea. The United States of America is a work in progress. My co-hosts are my dear friends, Dr. Joellen Chatham, who we call the professor for good reason, and the Honorable Bijan Kian, who we call the American for good reason. And they sometimes call me the judge, but we are here. This is the 16th of our episodes. As you know, the last 15, we've spent interviewing top scholars, experts, but today we'd just like to spend some time with good people celebrating who we are as Americans and what the Constitution means to us. So we've invited 7 special guests to do that. By the way, as a judge, often I would have the opportunity to swear people into various offices. And of course, as you know, they always swear to uphold and defend the Constitution. Then I say, keep your hand up. Now swear that you'll read it, because a lot of people have not read it, including, I'm sorry to say, some judges' opinions that I've read. But first and foremost, we always begin with a song in the musical Convention, The Birth of America, which I composed along with my good colleagues Steve Lawless and Joel Henry Stein. But most of our songs are based upon the history and actually use the words of the founders. We try to be as accurate as we can, and most of the songs are not as long as the one we're going to hear right now, but this is the finale. By the way, it's not the final song because we have an encore hereafter next week, but this song is really fun. It strings together a real medley of dozens of experts from, let's call it the American Songbook, that capture the spirit, the geography, the fun, the battles, the causes, the lives of Americans throughout our history. So listen, please, and enjoy. It's called Our Sun is Rising and is taken from Ben Franklin, who watched throughout the Constitutional Convention that George Washington, the president of it, had carved on the back of his chair a sun. And Ben Franklin was saying at the end, I'm not sure if that sun was rising or the sun was setting, but now the sun is rising. So let's hear the finale to Becoming America and Convention, The Birth of America, right now.
Our sun is rising, it is rising, and what beauty we did beget, and with support from you the Almighty, that sun shall never set. Our sun is rising, it is rising, with our freedom strong and true, and with the principles for which it stands shown in our bold red, white, and blue. We proclaim Tom Paine is right in common sense, that the cause of America is the one for all mankind. We have it in our power to begin the world anew. The birthday of a new world is what we find. So stand with me now while I bring forth our future, for it is great to see, fulfilling promises for all who work and opportunity. Oh, beautiful for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain, and great expansion of our hopes that comes from work and pain.
For Yankee Doodles come to town, a-riding on a pony, with Paul Bunyan, Davy Crockett, and Daniel Boone.
I say that's a macaroni. But we will sometimes feel like a motherless child
as we follow the drinking gourd, so that there will be
no more auction block for me,
as we shall overcome with the grace of our Lord.
So, oh Susanna, there's no need to cry for me.
I found me a home where the buffalo roam, and like them live in my liberty.
For I have a dream that with time we shall change from the course of
Old Man River, and equal opportunities and equal rights our institutions deliver.
'Cause now the promissory note of freedom and self-rule that was issued so long ago will now be cashed in this our great land, as our new Constitution now will show.
So sometimes we'll send our troops out over there, and sometimes we will not.
But when Johnny comes marching home again, to him we'll owe him a lot.
Oftentimes, Buddy will spare a dime
while he's putting on the Ritz.
And some will eat at Alice's restaurant
and keep the older establishment in fits.
For the eyes of Texas are upon us all the livelong day.
And when you're deep in the heart of Texas, no one can drive your dreams away.
And even though it's a gift to be simple, it's a gift to be free, now we know what boats,
and that there's a place for us.
Whether we climb every mountain
or only go down country roads.
So whether you live in New York,
or in my old Kentucky home,
you could stake a claim up north in Alaska,
or where the deer and the antelope roam.
So from the Swanee, how I love ya, how I love ya.
Gary, Indiana, let me say it once again.
To those whose homes in Alabama, you will always be with friends.
Chicago, Chicago will always be that wonderful town.
Or having those blues down by the Frisco Bay.
'Cause whether it's California, here I come,
or Rocky Mountain High,
we'll be proud to be born in the USA, and all along the way
we'll really have some fun, like playing boop boop beep doop,
or even making a fool of yourself by trying out the hula hoop. So give me that old-time religion.
That's good enough, you see.
'Cause here you can take me out to the ball game,
or do the Charleston with me.
But rock and roll is here to stay,
and not just for Johnny B. Good.
If you ain't nothing but a hound dog,
at least be the hound dog that could, baby.
So the future is big and the future is bright,
for those who are not too skittish.
For she loves you, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Hey, knock it off. Don't you know that song is British?
So lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring.
'Cause this land is your land, this land is my land,
and that is what our Constitution will bring.
Oh, beautiful for-glory tale of liberating strife, when once and twice for man's avail men laugh
if someone put all those songs together that were in Our Sun is Rising, I think we would call it the Great American Songbook. It's such a fun song and it covers so much of American history. And you referred in your opening remarks to Benjamin Franklin. And you named a song based on something that happened in this very room in Independence Hall in the 1787, and that happened on September 17th. The men were signing the Constitution, and Benjamin Franklin was sitting in one of those chairs that we see, and he noticed the chair that President Washington, now this was not President Washington of the United States, this was President George Washington of the convention. And as you can see over my shoulder, I'm pointing to it, there's a chair. And that chair, that exact chair, is in Independence Hall today. And there is a little carving on the back of the chair, and it's half of the sun with rays emanating from it. And Benjamin Franklin sat back and he said, you know, during all of our months of meeting, I've looked often at that chair and I've wondered whether the engraver had in his mind whether it was a rising or a setting sun. And he said, I'm happy to know at long last, it's a rising sun. So Jim, your song really hit it. And we have three people with us right now that we would like to talk with. As we've gone through this, Jim Gray has been the judge, I've been the professor, and Bijan has been the American. Well, today we have more Americans with us. Carol Choi, who is a businesswoman in international business and trade. She's also very active as a philanthropist with the University of California, Irvine, the Pacific Symphony, and many other groups. Leon Weinstein is an entrepreneur, a businessman who deals in film and television and programming and production and all the work that goes with that, and has also been active in those businesses in Israel and in Russia. And Charlie Zhang is the founder of Pickup Sticks, born in China, and he's been in many businesses and also a great philanthropist with the Pacific Symphony and the Nixon Library. But he also founded Orange County Music and Dance. And we're so happy to have you with us, just as Americans. And both Charlie and another guest that we'll have on later, Al Frank, is our recipients of the Ellis Island Medal of Honor. Some of the guests that we'll be talking to are also Americans by choice. And Bijan, you're both of those. You're an Ellis Island Medal recipient, and you're also an American by choice.
Well, thank you so much, Joe. And I am so honored to be with all of you, Carol, Charlie, and Leon. Such a pleasure to be with all of you. And thank you for joining this program. I am also an American by choice. I'm very proud of my heritage. I was born in Iran, a country with a very, very old and ancient culture. I think Thomas Jefferson was interested in that culture as well, in my culture, my heritage. He bought 2 copies of Chiropedia, the life of Cyrus the Great, one for himself, one for his son, and the copies are at the Library of Congress today. So very proud of my heritage, but also extremely proud of being an American. I have adopted both cultures, the best of both cultures. So today, I get to ask you a question, and I'm going to go to Carol first. Carol, in just a few words, in the shortest possible thought formation, what does it mean to you to be an American? What does being an American mean to you, Carol?
Thank you. For me, being an American means it represents choices, freedom of speech, religion, and ability to pursue my dreams. That is what an American means to me.
That is wonderful. And you take religion as the freedom of religion. Tell us a little bit more, a few more words about what is it that's most important to you as being an American? What is it in America that you get that maybe people aren't getting in other places in the world?
Freedom, a freedom of speech and freedom to make my own choices. I was born in Korea and I came here when I was 6 with my parents. My parents brought me here to immigrate, to have my own choices and to give me education so that I could possibly go ahead and reach the dream that I've they've always wanted for me. And for religion, it's my choice. I could go ahead and believe I'm Christian, and to go ahead and believe and, pray and do everything that I want to do. That's the choice of being an American to me.
That's wonderful. Thank you. And Charlie, I asked you the same question, and I know you. I mean, if someone asked me, what does Charlie think about being an American? I can answer that in a very, very confident way. But I like to our audience to hear your answer as well. What does being an American mean to you?
Sure. I'm so emotional to this moment. Yeah, be American. This is a huge, huge name. I'm going to be proud of it and honored to be American. I spent the first 25 years in mainland China. I spent the last 40 years become citizen of the United States. This country changed my life, put it that way. So I don't have any word can explain just how happy I am.
Thank you, Charlie. And I said I can talk about you and what being an American means according to Charlie Zhang's example. I'm so honored to be here with you, Charlie, as I am very honored to be with Carol and Leon. And now I go to Leon and ask the same question from you, Leon. You and I share perhaps some similarities, of course, some differences, but some similarities as well in where we come from. And places where you and I come from are very different from America. So what does it mean to you to be an American coming from the background that you and I have come? What does it mean to you to be an American? And I like to hear that contrast, if I may. What are your thoughts?
I consider myself to be a student of human relations, culture, history during almost 6,000 years of known history. And I would say that America is a unique experiment in freedom and opportunity. And that's what made it a shining beacon on the hill for me. And that's why I wanted to be here, be part of that. Actually, I was proud to be a part of this unique experiment until about a year ago. I hoped that my grandchildren would live in a better world than my wife and myself. Now I'm not so sure, but the idea of America is absolutely great, and I'm ready to fight for that because I know exactly where America of today is heading. So I will do my best to explain to people not to go there.
Well, Bijan, may I add here too that
Please.
Bijan, Carol, Charlie, Leon, you bring the best of your native cultures to the United States, and you are what makes America strong. And I'm proud to say I'm wearing my tie today, and it has the preamble, and it says, "We the people" at the bottom. You are the we. You are the people, and I'm just proud of that. And you bring that best part here. And I can tell you, Carol, Charlie, Leon, many of us could go to Korea, to China, to Russia, live the rest of our lives there, and never be known as Korean, Chinese, or Russian. But people come here, they're known as Americans, and that just makes me proud. But along that line, we have been studying now for the last 15 weeks on this show, Becoming America, the Constitutional Convention. And several of you have had to take tests to become a citizen, take a test on the Constitution and American history. What part of the Constitution, in just a few words or maybe a sentence or two, what part of the Constitution means the most to you? Let's start with you, Leon.
I know exactly no government can take from me my rights and freedoms.
Thank you. Carol, same question.
think it's exactly the tie that you just showed, the we, the people, that provide for common defense and promotes general welfare for the whole, secure of the blessings of the liberty for all of ourselves. So we, the people, I think that itself, it provides what the Constitution that I believe in.
By the way, this isn't scripted, folks. You know, I couldn't come up with better answers than what we're hearing. Charlie, the same question. What is it? What's the most important thing and meaningful thing in the Constitution from your standpoint?
The Constitution able to let a normal human life at this under that system can healthily grow and have a, provide the freedom, provide equal opportunity, and mainly protect the great people, protect great human being.
You know, one of our underlying themes of this whole Becoming America series goes back to something Bijan Kian said to me when we were having dinner with his wife a number of years ago, when he said that America is the perfect idea. The United States is a work in progress. And Leon, this kind of goes back to what you said a minute ago. You expressed concern about our freedom and our future over things that have happened, you know, in the recent past. And I think that's where Bijan was going. We're not a perfect people. We're not a perfect country. There's no perfection anywhere. But our aspirations, the things that we stand for and believe in, are in the Declaration of Independence and codified in that Constitution. And we just need to live up to those aspirations, you know, as people. If you had to, and this is this kind of hard question, but I think I know where you're going to go. But if you had to, someone said, tell me about America, one word, what would it be? Charlie, what would your one word be?
American is all about land of a free and a home of a brave. That word's always sticking in my mind. I mean, in the free land, have freedom, and then we brave.
Freedom. Kara?
I think I could double that. Freedom. That's where we appreciate the choices that we make are not being judged. And I think that is very important for our grandkids and for our kids and for our community.
Leon?
I'm afraid, guys, you live in the past. Yesterday, yes, you were right. Today, it's, in two words, it's a falling or fallen dream. Because what we see today is the end of what you're describing, all of you right now.
Yeah, that is really, you know, it is really important. We had one of our guests who's a constitutional expert who's always had a positive attitude about America and her future. And he said in one of our programs, I'm not so sure anymore. And Leon, that's kind of where you are. And if you don't mind, we do have a couple of minutes. What can we do? I mean, are we in danger of losing our freedom? And what can we do as Americans?
We are losing our freedoms. We lost a lot of them during last, I would say, 10 years, escalated 6 months ago. We have oppression of groups by skin color, white men, white in general. We have induced by the government and media division of people to antagonistic groups. We call it white and black, white and Asians, men, women, believers, not believers, heterosexual, homosexual. We have introduction of sequence of crazy ideas like changing sex by minors without permission of parents is okay, or men that feel today as women can participate, you know, in sports. Whoever is against those crazy ideas, or at least asking questions, immediately ostracized. a program, a number of programs on radio, TV, and also YouTube. I was 8 times censored and shut off YouTube last year for just raising questions. I'm not asking, not saying let's kill someone or let's prosecute someone. I'm just raising questions. For that 8 times, I would shut off my audience. It's from 100,000 to 1 million people watching me. So it's Femida is not blind anymore. End of freedom of speech, total end of freedom of speech, prohibition of expression of one's thoughts. Try to go to the street and demonstrate. Try to put together a little gathering in a restaurant or school or whatever. You will be raided by police under pretense that it's a COVID or something like that. But I don't really care. For me, loss of freedom is much more important than possibility to get COVID. So
let me interject for a moment, because I see so much of what you say is we're aiming in that direction. We have people here from, let's say, North Korea, or from China, or from Russia, Soviet Union, and they look askance at what's happening, just like you are, because our government is now becoming, in my view, a lot like the governments that you have fled from. But Joellen didn't ask me, but I'm going to insert it anyway. You asked me one word about what it is to be an American. My answer is optimistic. It's our government. If it isn't working, it's our responsibility. It's our duty to make it work. But I am optimistic. I think we're going to see that we're going in the wrong direction. And good people like I'm talking to right now and listening to on our show will understand that we're going to turn this around. We're going to become America. So I'm optimistic.
Joe, Dr. Shannon, you didn't ask me the question to describe America in
I was just
one
going
word.
there. What would be your one word?
Exceptional.
Ooh, that's
Exceptional.
a good one. Exceptional.
One word. Exceptional. And I can go on and on describing what that means, but just allow me to say something about what Leon said. So important. I think it's important for us to see the reality of what is taking place. But Leon, from one immigrant to another immigrant, what Joe said a few minutes ago is so true. And yes, I said that. I said, the United States is work in progress. And I think that's what our founding fathers intended to do, constantly improve for a more perfect union. How could anything be more perfect unless it's constantly improving, striving to be more perfect than they were yesterday? So when you refer to yesterday and today, the hope is in exceptionality of America. We'll fix ourselves. We've been there before. We've been through these periods. We will come out of this one exactly the same. We will remain exceptional.
Bumps in the road, John. Bumps in the road.
Charlie and Carol, any last thoughts?
I'm going to jump in. Leon, I think you're talking about the Equality Act that just passed and everything. I think we're all, I am with you, but on the other side, I am very hopeful because there's no other country in the world that will give us this kind of opportunity. And so for that, I am very hopeful. And I think it's telling all of us not to sit back, but to be proud of being an American and to be able to go ahead, challenge ourselves for the future of our grandkids and for our kids. I think it is important that we have to live up to that because it's given us an opportunity to go ahead and pursue our dreams where in no other country we would be able to go ahead and even have a program like this. It doesn't matter, we're no one. But in America, we're an American. And that it gives us a freedom to go ahead and speak what we want. And I think that is a huge honor and a privilege that I am so grateful for to be able to. And I thank my parents for that, for bringing me to the United States. Because I came here, I didn't have to do the testing. I came here when I was 6. But I am so grateful for the opportunity to be able to be where I am today because of what their vision was for us.
I am so honored on Carol's notes. 240 some years ago, our founding father, the building up, the funding the country, the principle based on Bible. But the politics, sadly, doesn't matter left or right, the contaminating lot of system. But as an American, as a citizen of the United States, our job is to continue defending, be the leader, good example, continue holding everybody hand together in the right direction. That's our job. It's not because you and him. It's we are America.
Well, if anything, we are the people, and that's how the Constitution begins. And what I love about this group and the other people that we're going to share within a few minutes is look who we are. We're Iranian, we're Jewish, we're Chinese, we're Korean, we're Jim, what are you? I don't even know what you are. My background is English. And
I'm as WASP as it gets.
But you know, at the end of the day, it's we the people, we're Americans, we don't like the hyphens, we're just Americans. And with people like us, if we can keep that positive feeling and then work to keep what our founding fathers gave us, we'll continue to be a good nation. But it takes a fight. It takes a lot of work. Thomas Jefferson said that we need to endure the fatigue of being good citizens to keep our freedom. And I think if we have Americans like you guys, it just tells us that Benjamin Franklin was right, our sun is rising. So thank you for taking this time, and we're going to move on in a few minutes to another small group of Americans to get their thoughts. And thank you so much.
Thank you so very much.
Thank you.
Have a wonderful weekend. God
You
bless
guys
you.
are great.
Nice to meet you all.
Appreciate doing this. And when this is all edited and put together, we'll make sure you guys know where you can watch it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Pleasure seeing you all. Thank you.
Pleasure, just a pleasure. Thank you all. Well, Joe, I really simply could not agree with you more. And thanks to our first great group, Carol, Charlie, and Leon. And now we have a second group with us for a few minutes. I'll ask them the same questions. Our second group is Al Frink, Kathy Tavaleras, Van Tran, and Doy Henley. These, again, are very active people, as you will see. Al Frink founded his own international carpeting business and was appointed also the Assistant Secretary of Commerce in 2004. And he's also still an ambassador for the Ronald Reagan Presidential Library. Al, welcome. Kathy Tavaleras is a political consultant and was recently appointed to the City Council at the City of Orange, where she lives. Congratulations, Kathy, and welcome. And then Van Tran, a longtime businessman, former member of the California State Legislature. Van, thank you for being with us and welcome. And Doy Henley is a businessman and a philanthropist. And in fact, among his many projects is his involvement with the Richard Nixon Presidential Library. Doy, thank you for your efforts and thank you. So let's start by asking Doy, maybe you can start out. What does being an American mean to you?
It means that we have the opportunity to live a life of freedom and liberty in the greatest country ever created on the face of the earth. And the very system of justice and righteousness of the cause of our founders that made this country what has never, ever been able to be done before. And there's nothing that means more to me than to be able to be a part of such a society that has done what this country has been able to do in the world, and to have some of the wonderful achievements that have been accomplished. We've been to the moon. So what else?
Yes, indeed. And Doy, as you know, of course, the name of this program is Becoming America. America is a perfect idea. The United States of America is a work in progress. And I think what you said, we realize that. Kathy, you're on deck. What does being an American mean to you, Kathy?
Well, as a child of immigrants and as an immigrant myself, and understanding what my parents and other immigrants have been through, I've always seen America as a culmination of God's dream for his children, and where we know and he knows that we are free and that we have free will.
Thank you for that. Al, your turn.
Yes, as Kathy, I'm an immigrant to this country, and it gives you an extra measure of appreciation for being here. I thought about this question, and in looking and thinking about it, so I could give an answer that really reflected some thought, I came to the beginning of our Declaration of Independence, where it spells out at the very beginning that all of us are created equal endowed by our Creator with inalienable rights for life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. These are the founding words that got us started in declaring our independence. And I think they set the tone for what this country is today.
Thank you, Al. I thought you wrote those words. Actually, it was the founders. Is that right?
Yes, I happened to be there though, and I co-authored that. I don't like to take credit for things of that nature.
Indeed so. Van, what credit are you going to take? What does being an American mean to you, Van Tran?
Well, thank you for the important question. Definitely, I was not there, but lived off the fruits of the Declaration of Independence and want to aspire that. And to be an American is to work hard and to realize that your hard work, your freedom, and the ability to persist in fairness and justice in a system that provide you all the opportunities that you can be, that no other countries can even match up to in terms of what we have here. Although we all realize as Americans, whether we're first or second generation Americans, that America is not perfect, but definitely, as you said, Judge, is a work in progress, and it's the great experiment, and definitely that's where we're coming from.
I believe that because of our immigrants, that has truly made us great, and thank you to all of you.
Thank you.
So, my friends, I have a little bit of a different question. For 15 weeks, we have been studying the Constitutional Convention. And as some of us have to take a test to become Americans, like me, I'm an American by choice. Many of our guests have been also Americans by choice. We've had to take the test to become Americans. My question to you is that we've all studied the Constitution of the United States. Which part of the Constitution appeals to you as the most important part? If you were to pick just a part of the Constitution, look at it and say, this is what I take with me as the best part of the Constitution of the United States. What part would that be, Doy?
Well, it just so happened that a friend of mine who's an immigrant also, that not that I am, I was naturally born, even though I'm an Irishman. I don't know how to frame it any other way, but the point is that when he caught me that I was in the quiet of the time, I read it over again. You know, one of the little books that we all receive from wherever, and I read the whole thing over again. So he'd come walking in and asked me, he said, well, what do you think about it? And I said, well, that's fine. I said, I never expected any kind of a real question. He said, what would you change? So I said, I can't think of anything to make a change on. I said, if I could think of something that we need to change, there is, except veneration of the inspired founders that put it all together in that day and age, you know, and thought up all of the wisdom that's therein contained. And I think of things like the Electoral College. Who ever heard of that? Nobody had ever heard of that before. And the whole point is that the documents that were perceived, the hand of the Almighty God had to be involved with that, I can tell you. And I think we all would agree with. But I can't think of anything that I would change.
Thank you, Doy. Al, I ask you the same question. You've read the Constitution many times and you've been sworn to the Constitution many times. Which part of the Constitution is your favorite part?
Well, I think, first of all, the big picture, stepping back a bit, is that we were, I believe, first and foremost, that our Creator gave us the Bible, and our founding fathers did likewise with the rules of how we shall be governed, which is what we call the Constitution. To answer the question that you just specifically asked, I would say that freedom of speech, which happens to be the First Amendment. And as we looked at the Constitution, the founders started working on the amendments, which is called the Bill of Rights. And the very first, I think, sets another tone. It is especially being tested today, the freedom of speech, press, and peaceable assembly is in our First Amendment. And I think to me right now, in this given time, it is what I consider to be the most important.
Very well done.
Thank you, Al. That's really something important for all of us to go back and think about. Dan, I ask you the same question. When you look at the Constitution, is there a part in the Constitution that you say, that's what I attach myself to? That's the part I take away from the Constitution with me as the most important part of this amazing document, unique in the history of mankind?
This is an easy question for me because the Constitution, the very first part, the preamble of the Constitution, is my favorite part because it encapsulates everything about our government and our aspiration for freedom. And the preamble goes like this: we, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and for our prosperity. Do ordain, of course, the United States, and all of the aspirations and the values that we wanted as a people to come together to establish a betterment for our lives and for our children and generations later. So the preamble really covers everything that I love, and I'm sure many of our fellow Americans love, and are able to thrive and aspire to be the best that we can be. To plug in a little, not there, but definitely the preamble is there for me.
Of course. Kathy, you're a great American. I've watched you for years, and you truly represent the spirit of what it means to be an American. And I'm so proud and honored to know you. I ask you the same question. You continue to serve. And what do you find in the Constitution that you find so inspiring, so important, your favorite part of the Constitution?
Well, again, through the eyes of an immigrant, immigrants chose to come here for a reason. And most of the reason, most of the time, was they were leaving something behind. And so for me, it's the 10th Amendment. It's the limit of the federal government, the power of the people. Government closest to the people is the best kind of government. And so what's not specifically written in the Constitution for the federal government to take care of shall be given to the states, and so forth, and so down to city council, if you will. So for me, it's freedom from an overpowering federal government.
That's wonderful. Thank you, Kathy.
Your comments are also perfect, and they reveal so much about not only yourselves, but the Constitution itself. Dor, you mentioned that the founding fathers knew what they were doing. They had resources. They looked at history. They looked at philosophers, the Greeks, the Romans, and the French philosophers, the English philosophers. And they spent 4 months drafting this document. And then it was debated in all of the states, very extensively debated. So it wasn't put together haphazardly. They knew what they were doing. And at the end, they did make a couple of changes, as Al noticed, when the first Congress met, they added the Bill of Rights. But if you had to boil it down, what you believe about the Constitution and being an American to one word, that's hard. What would that one word be, Van?
It is definitely hard because there are so many words in the English language that describes the Constitution. But if I have to rank it or choose one word, that word would be aspiration. Aspiration is to aspire and to hope, and to give hope, of course, to be better than ourselves as a society, as a community coming together. Both as immigrants or as native-born Americans, we are all human beings, and that is the common denominator, if you will, that all of us share, and that is to have the aspiration to be the best that we can be in our daily lives, activities, in our work, in the air that we breathe, and in the family and education that we share with our children as well. So all the activities as an American, as an American wannabe, if you will, or an immigrant, that is the word that I look at as to aspire, to come to the United States, to aspire to be something better than ourselves, and better as an individual as well.
Kathy?
Well, I'm going to quote Hollywood, if you believe it or not, and say one of the greatest scenes in cinematic history, I think, is Braveheart, Mel Gibson yelling freedom. But coming from my ancestors of Spartan descent, we've been fighting for more than 200 years for freedom. So for me, it's freedom.
Excellent. Al?
Kathy's ancestors and my ancestors, we go back a long way, of course.
We do. Yes.
I must say, Kathy's ancestors taught my ancestors real good lessons in life.
Oh,
Thank you
that's
for
right.
that.
The Greeks and the Persians a couple of thousand years ago.
Yes,
Al, how would you
2,500 years ago in the Aegean Sea, they taught us a good lesson. Persians learned the lesson from the Greek.
Al, how would you define America and the Constitution in one word?
I forgot the question. Oh, that was it. Yeah, excuse me. I started to answer about 2-3 times, but these answers are all really good. Kathy's answer, it is hard, as was mentioned at the beginning, to define America in one word. When you think of freedom, my first thought some time back was opportunity, because we are the land of opportunity. But I started thinking about what the easy answers are, and I went a little further into my thoughts, and I kept thinking about a statement that was made this morning had to do with the fact there's so many countries that are being omitted from travel or recommended against travel because of the COVID virus. But Hawaii is seeing a surge because it's America. And it gave me that word that I was looking for, which I will use, and that is security. The fact that when you travel and you reach and you visit other countries, that moment you get off the plane when you return is that aha moment. I'm home. I feel secure. There's a sense of this country wrapping its arms around you, and you want to sometimes even kiss the ground, no matter how good of a time you had. I think it's because we feel safe and secure in this country. We're the most regulated country in the world, but that also makes us the safest because we do more to protect our people. And I think that sums up what I think to be my best answer, and that would be security.
Outstanding. Joy?
You guys all stole my stuff, you know that.
It happens to it.
I mean, when you got so much stuff to deal with, why it's always hard. And as I think about it, the more important it becomes is that fact that we do have a variety that all are equally extraordinary for what a society can be. And that's the only other word I can come up with is this is the land of possibilities. And I always have thought so. Whether you bring a lot to the game or a little bit to the game, or if you fall into it accidentally like me and Al did and a few other people, that's also the possibilities that being an American is all about. And also the respect that it requires of you when the first time you can understand that other word is respect in there that we have for the founders and the founding of this country and under the principles under which it was. So I haven't got one of those one words except possible.
Well, I think you've all got one words that have so much meaning. I'm going to turn this on to Jim and Bijan for a second. I don't know if you guys knew what I was going to ask you, but how would you two describe America in
You go first,
one
Jim.
word? Bijan, go ahead.
Oh, you want me to go first?
Sure.
Oh, well, one day, Joe, you and I were sitting on a kitchen table at my home, and we were talking, and I said something that you found it to be interesting. What I said was, America is a perfect idea, but the United States is work in progress. If I were to describe America in one word, that word would be perfect. Just one word, perfect. America is a perfect idea. Perfect is America. Now, what does that mean? Does that mean we're perfect? No, I think Van brought up a very important point, aspirations. When I read the Constitution of the United States, what I get from it is what we want to be, what we are determined to become. And of course, the name of our program is Becoming America. The Constitution tells the world, we are Americans. This is how we want to be. We are not perfect. We are people. People cannot be perfect, but the idea of America is just perfect. One word, perfect.
Yeah.
If I could go back to say what means most in the Constitution to me, it is the three words in the preamble, we the people, because it's our government and we are the ones that delegate the power to the federal government. And if it isn't working, we have no one to blame but ourselves. Then I try to follow the rules, Professor Chatham. If I could have two words to describe America, it would be American dream. But I know I can't do that. I'm a judge. I try to follow directions. So my answer is equality. And how do I explain that? Equality to pursue the American dream, equal opportunity. That's what it means to me.
I think somebody could write an essay just using the one words that we've all shared this morning. I'll give mine. I think mine is faith. Faith in two senses. One of the greatest hindrances that men have faced throughout history is the ability to worship and think as they want. And this nation put it first and foremost, that we have freedom of religion, which means freedom of conscience, extremely important. And the other is faith in mankind, that, as Jim just said, we the people, there's faith in people when we turn our government over to ourselves and our fellow citizens. So anyway, I've been very touched by what you guys have said this morning. And Bijan, we'll turn it over to you to close us out.
Well, thank you so much. You know, this session has been extraordinary for me to see all of you, my dear friends. I've known you for many, many years. And this was a great opportunity for us to come together to just focus on one subject, our Constitution, and how it became what it is today, and what it does for us and what we take away from it. But like all good things must come to an end, our good session together has come to that point. And like some of our guests, I like to say I chose to be an American. And as we have often said it on the program, and if I repeat it 1,000,000 times, it's not enough. America is a perfect idea. We're work in progress. We want to be better every day. And these perfect ideas are found in the Declaration of Independence, the Constitution, and the Bill of Rights. It's our job to live up to them and to help others live up to them, to continue to make progress and protect our freedoms. Kathy, Doy, Alan, Van, thank you for sharing your thoughts with us today. It's been really, really inspiring, and I'm very grateful to you. Our next episode and the last in our series will be a conversation with David Ferrero, the Archivist of the United States. Until then, if you want to listen to Our Sun is Rising and all of the songs from convention, log on to the website judgejimgray.com. And for a blog giving you a day-by-day account of the Constitutional Convention, go online to Concordia University Irvine Center for Public Policy and read the blogs written by my friend, Dr. Joellen Chatham. Thank you, and see you next time.